time, we will establish a quorum. Mr. Carlos Mendoza. Mr. Castillo. Reyes Espinosa.
Here.
Mr. Joe Molina. Here. Myself, Eduardo Cuellar, for the record, we do have a quorum. This time, we will have a minute of reflection. Thank you. Audience to patrons, I understand no one signed up to address the board. We continue item 4, which is the public hearing presentation of the 2016-2017 Texas Academic Performance Report, which is will be throughout the presentation TAPR.
And if you have it, pass it.
Yes.
And I'll start with, so on page 2, the table of contents, these are all the items that are required by law to be addressed at this item 1. So we'll go over the annual report and attach the glossary. These, the financial report, the district accreditation status, the campus performance objectives, report on violent or criminal incidents, student performance in post-secondary institutions. Those are all that are required to be presented. So I'm going to start with the 2016-17 Texas Academic Performance Report for the district. Looking at the STAR percent that approaches grade level or above grade level. I'm going to start with grade 3rd grade in reading. 47%. In mathematics, 63%. For 4th grade reading, 41%. Mathematics, 61%. Writing, 30%. Overall, we saw growth in 3 of the 5 tested contents. In 5th grade reading, 61%. Mathematics, 61%. Science, 50%. And in grade 6, reading 64%, mathematics 67%, and they had growth in all 5 exams. In grade 7, reading 58%, mathematics 52%, writing 47%, and in reading 8th grade 73%, mathematics 86%, science 63%, and social studies 50%. So for junior high, they saw growth in 4 out of the 7 exams. For high school, English 1 in the course, 56%, English 2, 53%, Algebra 1, 81%, Biology 86%, and U.S. History 87%, and they saw growth in all 5 EOC exams. For all grades, STAR, I'm sorry?
It looked to me like the high school exam and everything from 16 to 17. Let me go back to it.
Oh, okay, so let's go back to the previous page.
So English 1,
Went from
they were
52,
64% and they were 56%.
they went from 52 in 2016 to 56 in 17.
You're looking at reading 1 instead of...
So the number right above it, where you see the 52%,
Oh, yes. Okay, you've got state, region, district.
right, so we're looking at the district level,
Mhm.
and so in 16 it was 52, in 17 it was 56.
Okay, I'm following.
And then for English, 50, from 49 to 53, in algebra from 70 to 81. And then U.S. history and biology both increased as well. So they saw growth in all 5. Next are all grades tested, grades 3 through 8. And then these are all grades at the approaching level. And here we start with all subjects are now at 60%. Reading is at 56%. Mathematics, 67. Writing, 37. Science, 65. all subjects 3 through 8, we saw growth in 5 out of the 6. For meets grade level, in 2 or more subjects, reading and math, from 20 to 29, from 25 to 31, and 21 to 33. And in writing, 13 to 16, science 23 to 29, social studies 21 to 36, and for the meets, we saw growth in all 6 exams. At master's grade level, which is the highest, all subjects were at 9%, reading is at 9, mathematics is at 11, writing is at 3, science is at 3, and social studies is at 11. And here we had growth in 4, 1 remained the same, and then 1 dropped by 1%. Then they combined those subjects that either met or exceeded. And for the all subjects, we're at 64, reading is at 59. Mathematics is at 69. And the last one is exceeded progress, which again is the highest. All subjects is at 16, reading is at 16, and math is at 16. And here we drop to 1 of the 3. Next is the progress of prior year non-proficient students in grades 4 through 8. These are kids that did not pass the prior year, but saw progress the year after. So in reading, we're at 25%, in math, 37%. Next is the Student Success Initiative, and this is for grades 5 and 8. So this is the reading in 5th grade students who approach grade level on the first administration of STAR. So the first time test takers were at 52%. 48% needed acceleration, and then the STAR cumulative, which was exam 1 and 2, they were at 60%. In 5th grade math, first start administration at 52%, 48% needed acceleration, and 60% met standard once it took the second test. In grade 8, reading, students who were approaching on the first administration were at 65%, 35 needed acceleration, and cumulative 73%, so from 65 to 73 at the second administration. For math, students in 8th grade that met on the first administration is 73%. Students requiring accelerated instruction were 27%, and then STAR cumulative by the second administration, 86% of the 8th graders met. Next is the bilingual ESL. And I'm looking at all grades, all subjects. In 2017, that either approaching grade level or above, we had 60%. Meet in reading, 56%. In math, 67%. In writing, 37%. Science, 65%. Social studies, 69%. So gains in all except 1, which was the writing. For each grade level in 2 or more subjects, 2 or more subjects, 29. In reading, 31. In math, 33. In writing, 16. Science, 29. Social studies, 36. These are 2 or more subjects. Next is the masters. All subjects, 9%. In reading, 9. Mathematics, 11. Writing is 3. Science is 3. And social studies is 11. For met or exceeded progress, all subjects 64%, reading 59%, and math 69%. Exceeding progress, all subjects 16, reading is 16, math is 16. For the bilingual progress of prior year non-proficient in reading, 25%, and in math 37%. Who had not passed the prior year and did so, figure it out. Next, we have the district participation. These are the students who participated in the STAR assessment. And so for the district, we test 100% of our kids. 93 were included in the accountability system. 6% are mobile students. The mobile students are those students who come in after the snapshot date in fall, so they do not count for us and they do not count against us. So those are what we call our mobile students. So we had 100% last year and 100% the year before. So we test everyone. The attendance rate for 2015-16, and we go back 2 years for the attendance. We're at 94.4. Our dropout is at 1.4%. For 7th and 8th, and then our 9th through 12th is at 2%. Then we have the 4-year longitudinal rate. Those are the cohorts that come in as freshmen and graduate as seniors. It's a 4-year. We're at 92.1%. And for the class of 2016, for the class of 2015, we were at 85.4. So that was a good jump. 5-year cohorts of longitudinal data. For class of 2015 is at 88. The year before that, we were at 93. And these are kids who continue past their senior year. 6-year extended. For class of 2014, 93%. And the class before that, 2013, was at 85.9. And then we go to the recommended high school program. The distinguished rate for class of 2016, we're at 91.1. The foundation high school program, with those who graduated with an endorsement, we don't have any. And then we have the foundation high school program. Those students that graduated with distinguished level of achievement, for the district, we are at 0%. For the recommended high school program, or the foundation high school with the distinguished level, we're at 79.3%. Then on the next page, we have a breakdown of the rates. Recommended high school distinguished achievement, we have 90.4% of students. And then we have the advanced course or the dual credit course completion rates. In 2015-16, we're at 27%. For English, we're at 10%. Math is at 27%, 0 for science, and 13% for social studies. The advanced course dual credit for grades 9 to 12, these are freshmen through seniors, we have 14.5% on any subject. Those in English were 6.2%, and for math, we're at 10.9%. For science, we are at 0, and for social studies, we are at 6.4. The college-ready graduates, for 15-16, we were at 32.5%. In math, 16.5, for both subjects, 11.5, and either subject, 37%. The college and career-ready graduates are those who show preparedness for post-secondary success, and they can show it in one of 3 ways. They could either meet the TSI. The TSI is the college entrance exam, or they have to meet the criteria in both English and math. Or they can earn credit for 2 advanced courses or dual credit courses, or they can enroll in a coherent sequence of our career and technical education courses. For those, we are at 88.9%. The TSI for 15-16, we're at 18% for English language arts and 7.9% for mathematics. And again, the completion of the advanced or dual credit courses, and those who earn 12 or more hours, and then the AP or the IB course, which is this, very few students take the AP or the IB course completion exam. Next is the CTE coherent sequence annual graduate. In 15-16, we were at 84.1. And then we have a breakdown of the AP participation. Again, that's low. Then we go to the SAT, ACT results. For number of students who tested, we're at 50%. Those who met at or above that criterion were at 3.2. The average SAT score was at 1,215. The average SAT for English language arts is at 818. The average SAT score for math is at 403. The average ACT score for all subjects is at 16.4. English language arts is at 15.7. Math is at 16.2. And science is at 17%. Graduates enrolled in a Texas institution of higher education, college, universities, junior colleges, we are at 56.7%. And those that are in a higher institution of higher ed that do not require remediation are at 29.2. Next, we have the district profile. And this shows our enrollment by grade level, beginning with our early childhood all the way to our seniors. They also break it down by ethnic distribution and by our economically disadvantaged, by our English language learners, students that are with disciplinary placements, and those that are at-risk kids. We also have the number of our students with disabilities, and it breaks down the type of disabilities that our kiddos are. Next is the graduates. For class of 2016, we had 126. And again, a breakdown by ethnicity and the breakdown of the graduation type. Next, we see retention rates by grade, and we have the breakdown from kinder to grade 8 and the percentages for each of the grade levels. Then we have the class size averages, beginning with kinder, grade 6, and then our secondary by our content. total number of staff in the district, and then the breakdown between the professional staff, that includes teachers, professional support, campus administration and central administration, our instructional aides, auxiliary staff, and again, a breakdown by ethnicity, and then by degrees held, and by the years of experience. Next, we have the experience of campus leadership, and a breakdown by principals, assistant principals, average years of experience for teachers, and then by years. Salary, average teacher salary by years of experience, and then average actual salaries. Program information, here are the subplots. Student enrollment by program, the bilingual, career tech, GT, and special ed. And then the number of teachers who serve our special population students. Are there any questions on the table? The glossary follows that, and it just explains acronyms and goes into detail. Next is the PEMS financial report, and this is based on 2015-16. Beginning with, so this is a general fund. Total revenue, and this is taken straight from the TEA site. Revenues, receipts, fund balance, and then expenditures, and then a breakdown of the programs, the disbursement, expenditures, instructional expenditure ratio is at 57.7, and then a breakdown of our tax rate as of 2015. Questions? Next is the district accreditation. For the 2016-17 school year, we had a first rating of superior, accountability rating of MEC standard, and accreditation status of accredited. Following that are the campus improvement plan, and these are the performance objectives that the board approved. A few were approved in September, and then the rest were approved in October of this fall. Next is the report on violent or criminal incidents. And what you see is, this comes straight from King's, and it's listed by code. And it is, again, taken straight from the Texas Education Agency site. And it's just a breakdown of the code and the number of incidents. Following that are the safety policies. And then our SHAC report that's also required, that has come before the board. And then last, we have our student performances in post-secondary institutions. And here we have Zavala County for Crystal City High School. For the year 2016, we had a total of 90 graduates, 8 attended four-year public universities, and 40 attended two-year public universities, and 3 attended independent college universities, and 39 were not found in either category. And that's the last report for the tape. Questions?
We'll continue item number 5, consent action items, which are the minutes for January 16th and January 24th, 2018, and the monthly bills for January 2018, and consider to approve contract for services agreement for educational diagnostician services between the City ID and Cecilia and Reina Educational Diagnostician.
Which all in consent?
Yes, sir.
On motion.
Motion by Mr. Espinosa to approve consent action items. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimous 7-0. We go to action items 6A. Consider and take possible action on reorganization of the Board of Trustees. This simply means that there has been a request to hold elections again. Normally they're held in November after the trustee election, but we have to honor the request.
Mr. Webb, did you know that I came in at 6:11, just for the record?
I think Luna.
You did, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she's.
Just under the action item 6A, the purpose and the reason for it is because I feel that we as a board are not striving to where we need to be showing progress in DEA as it's been discussed the last 2 years as we've attended the Lone Star Government workshop in San Antonio and Austin. Again, this year, for the second year in a row, we've attended it. And as you recall in that meeting or the workshop, I stated to all the board members, including the district that were there, I said, are we going to come back and implement what we've learned, or are we going to go back and pretend that we're doing everything we can? And again, sir, we've not done anything to improve performance-wise for this school board to show that we are focused on student performance outcomes. Again, we continue to have the same issues from micromanaging, dictating who can and can't add anything to the agenda, questioning whether or not to add it to the agendas. And based on meeting local policies, again, it only takes one board member to request the items. We have to go to Act of Congress just to request a special meeting. We have to go to an Act of Congress just to request an item to add it to the agenda. Again, if this is a board that really wants to prove that we're in for kids, then Mr. Cuella, I'm sorry to say, with all due respect, sir, I don't feel that you are the person to lead the school board, nor do I feel that your leadership skills are there for the best interest of the school board and the students of Clifton City High School. With that said, sir, I am requesting that this board, as like they've always mentioned, that we want to hold people accountable for their actions. Then you know what? This is the first time that I'm coming to you vocally and saying, if you really are in for the kids, then do have this board realignment. Because we have board members that are here for their personal agendas or personal interests, in which case, that's not the best thing for this school district. Not to mention, ignorance of these policies and the laws is not acceptable, sir. So by me saying that, I'm asking that we do this for realignment.
Mr. Rodriguez, let me correct you. Ever since I've been on the board, and I've been on the board for, this is my 13th year,
Well, we know that.
I've always gone to board policy. Now, as you mentioned, let me finish. I'll let you finish, don't interrupt me.
Go ahead.
You said it takes an act of Congress. Well, yeah, we have emails saying that your request, you're on the agenda.
Really, I guess.
That is not true. You don't see the email.
Didn't I, let me finish, didn't I send you an email that if you wanted to put, item C on the agenda, and you said yes?
After how many days?
It only takes one board member to request it, sir.
Look, we requested it like 2 weeks ago, but the agenda doesn't go out until the week before.
But still, sir,
So we can't do an agenda let me finish.
don't point the finger at me, sir. Guys,
We don't do the agenda as soon as you ask for it.
no, sir. I'm
You
not
have
saying
to
that.
wait.
I'm not saying
Let
that.
me finish, sir.
No, I'm saying.
You said you accused me of a lot of things.
It's true.
Now let me answer. At least. The public's here.
Yes, they are.
Okay? Now, you talk about what's best for the community. Yet, why did you put item 6C on the agenda?
We'll discuss that when we get to it.
I'm going to discuss it now.
Well,
Because you accused me of a lot of stuff that's not true. What you have said, sir, is just your opinion.
no, sir.
What you said was your opinion. You don't have any fact. We said a lot of things at that governance meeting,
And
and
then,
then no, you haven't.
oh, I have not.
No, sir.
Really?
Mr. Cuellar, none of us have. None of us. Even Miss Salinas.
You especially haven't.
Oh, baloney. Even
Let
Miss
me
Salinas
ask
fills
you
out a board
this.
trip.
Didn't you tell Mr. AJ at the meeting there that from now on, if people come to you, you were going to direct them to the person that will take care of their problem? Didn't you say that there?
Yeah, but I
And
can answer
then when we
any.
came back, did you call Mrs. Ellen right away and tell her that somebody called me from the high school, they told me that it was disorganized, kids were all over the place, and that's the opposite of what you said you were gonna
No,
do?
I didn't call her about the high school being disorganized. I called her about things out in the community because as a board, we act like a secret society and we don't want them to know anything. And that is why
And the things that we do want them to know, we fabricate and we tell them lies.
I have never lied to anybody about anything.
That's what you said.
I have never,
That's
never.
what you said.
And if you don't have a backbone, then Miss Salinas needs to get one. You're not the say-so to end all. If we ask her to put something on the agenda, she is the superintendent and she needs to follow policy.
Tell me, what has she not put on the agenda that you've asked? Tell me, be specific.
I can go
Be
back to my
specific.
emails like 7, 8 days ago, 9 days ago. I wanted Senate Bill 1882 on there. Well, I don't know. Joe, do you want it on there? Ms. Young, if you're in agreement, just put it on the agenda.
Is
We
it on the
asked for it.
agenda? Is it on the agenda now?
Yeah, and the deadline's tomorrow for submission.
Again, Mr.
We
Cuellar.
can make it, we can make it.
Oh, we always act in crisis mode.
Again, Mr. Cuellar, we said a lot of things. And I've said it. If I cannot get our kids to where they need to be, then I would resign as a school board member. No one else took me up on that challenge. Mr. Espinosa mentioned that he would resign from all school board, from other boards that he was in to focus on student performance. Did that happen? No. So, with that said, sir, and even including AJ on those emails, like I told you, and even he said it straight out, we have shown little to no progress as a board for the last 2 years, sir.
And didn't he say that before anything changes, adult behavior has to change?
And that's exactly what I was about to say to you, sir.
But you see, you keep pointing the finger at me, but what about your behavior, sir?
Well, sir, aren't you the president, aren't you the one that's supposed to be?
But I can't make you change, remember? I am the genesis of change. I can't make you change.
Sir,
I can't make you change. You have to change yourself, and
How
I have
is
to
it that
change.
has not changed when all I've been doing is focusing on what we need to do as a school board member, sir? Did I not submit to you the board constraints or the superintendent constraints in the early morning, sir, to move forward on this? Did I not do that?
No,
Oh, you didn't get your email?
I didn't get it.
Responded to your email.
I got the email, but I didn't get the string. But those constraints,
Wasn't it you that
but those
said?
constraints were not.
Wasn't it not just the reply to my email, sir, that said that the board constraints should be done by the board and not by individuals? So how can you say that you did not receive that constraint email, sir? You just lied in front of the office.
I got the email,
But
but I didn't get the constraints.
part of it, it's all part of the email, sir.
But I didn't get them.
It was part of the email.
If you sent them, I didn't get them.
They were there, you just lied in front of everybody, said
I
you
didn't, I
didn't.
told everybody that I didn't get them.
But you're saying that.
And you're saying I did, how do you know I did?
Well, so we can. go back
Because you send me the email doesn't mean I got it. But I send you, I replied to your email, did I not?
Again, Mr. President.
And
You can continue.
And the constraints are not done by me, they're done by the board, as a board meeting.
All
But
you
you
want
gotta get
to
them to the table.
But you were sitting there.
Back to
You
Congress.
replied to an email that you didn't get.
That's not what I said.
That's what you said.
I said I got your email, but I didn't get the constraints, that's what I said.
But you replied to it, saying that.
Because I got the email.
Because the constraints should be done by the board, not by a person or an individual.
Sure, you want
I got the email, but I didn't get your constraints. If you send them in an attachment, I didn't get the attachment.
Okay, so,
It seems like ever since Mr. Williams came, it's like he's the one that's fixing the schools and everything. I mean, a couple of years back, I mean, we were needs improvement in Benito Juarez, Junior High, the high school, on campus. The only campus, and we're almost there. I mean, is
We're almost there. You
we're
didn't reach
begging
out.
to be finished, please. I mean, be respectful. I mean, that's why we learn it at this workshop and what you're doing. And it's true, it's like what I say, you're the one that gets up and say, no, I'm gonna support my superintendent when we get back 100%.
Oh, well.
And then you come and say, I'm talking to Peggy, sir.
Well,
Okay, I'm talking to Peggy.
I did not say I was
You
going to support
say
my
it's in front of-
superintendent 100%.
And let me go back to you, I mean, you say like, when you came in, I mean, it seems like none of the board members have done anything, or Ms. Alina. I mean, we have gotten most of the campus out of, needs improvement. And we're working right now, very close with the teachers, get Zavala out of there, and I feel that we're gonna do it. I mean, if you think otherwise and Peggy thinks otherwise, well, that's your opinion. Because right now you mentioned, when you were arguing with Mr. Cuellar, or when you mentioned on your, on why you were bringing this to the table, it seems that you're accusing, because you said there's some more members that are here for personal reasons. And that's not on Mr. Cuellar. You're probably talking about me, maybe Bobby, maybe,
would you like me
Mr. Rebo.
Would you like me to give you details or dates, sir?
Well, give it, I mean, bring it to the table.
Well, isn't it you that always recommends that whenever we hire somebody, they need to be from Crystal City first, sir, even if they're qualified or not qualified for the position, sir?
With paraprofessional, yes.
Yes or no?
With
Yes.
paraprofessional, yes. That's my answer.
That's all I want.
Because I feel that we have a lot of people here in Bristol City that can be teacher aides, that can be maintenance directors. So why do we have to bring from Carrizo? Why do we have to bring from other places? If a lot of people can hold those positions here in Bristol
So
City.
are you not admitting that you do?
That's not my recommendation.
Isn't
That's
that?
not my recommendation. That's my recommendation.
How
And
would you
again,
recommend,
tomorrow
sir?
we bring somebody that's from Carrizo, I'm gonna object to it because I feel that we have people
If
here.
you recall,
that can-
correctly, Mr. Coyle, Mr. Fields, didn't I tell you that based on policies, the boards is.
I know policy, don't tell me about policy.
No.
I
Can we
think-
get extra meeting, Mr. Coyle?
Pardon?
Can we go and?
I have a
Let's
question. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Back to what Mr. Espinosa was saying, you said IR. I want to go back, to that, okay? Because you said that Benito Juarez, Junior High, all these campuses were in IR. Can you mention a date? Like, the date they were in
Couple
IR
of
and when
years.
you all got them out of IR?
A couple of years ago, I mean, last year.
No.
Can you speculate a little bit?
2 years ago.
Who was in IR?
We had
The junior high,
BJ Junior High, Salado, and then by virtue of Frida being here, Frida.
So, all of them got out of IR except Sabah. Okay, Sabah has been in IR since what year?
6 years.
6 years. 6 years.
We paid for many, many, many PSPs, monitors, and conservators to get to where we are.
6 years. That's 6 years.
I call for the vote. Let's vote, and continue.
On motion that we keep the same board until
August.
November 2018. If we have elections or not.
Until when?
The same officers until November 2018, been in elections or not. That's my motion.
Your second?
That's ours.
Is there a second? I'll second it then, for the purpose of voting. So the recommendation is to keep the same officers as before until the next election, which is in November. And then at such time, by policy, that will happen.
Kind of on November this year?
Yep.
But
Are going to be three of us or up for re-election?
if we have elections or not, we organize. That's been a tradition.
So the motion is,
But I don't know if that says a date or not, like on November.
Well, that's because that's when we have elections. I mean, and we don't have, it's like when you okay in this year, okay, even though we did not have an election, because, I mean, nobody ran except Joey kind of came in. So automatically we put on the agenda to reorganize the board. So it's November, that's when we have election. So we have election, we reorganize, or we don't, we reorganize.
Okay, so can your motion just say stay as is instead of be specific?
Well,
Or,
stay as it is.
I mean, I would think maybe we don't have to mention like November because we don't know what's gonna happen from here to
but
November.
board policy says that the elections are held after every election in November. That's board policy.
Unless the board can be.
Yeah. Like in this case, Mr. Rodriguez requested that we do it soon.
Oh, I'm sorry, sorry.
Yes. So there's a motion to keep the same officers, and there's a second. All in favor to keep the same officers? Show of hands, please. Opposed? Then the officers stay to the next general election. 6B, consider awarding RFP number 18-24 for the Old Crystal City High School abatement.
So the recommendation is that the board approve the proposal submitted by Environmental Incorporated for the price of $154,313 for the abatement of the Old Crystal City High School.
Just before, we're gonna do what?
This is for the removal of asbestos.
So that wasn't part of the original contract? Or was it-
No, because they had to test it to see if, in fact, there was, and they did find it, so now they have to come and move that before they can tear the building down.
But isn't that something that they do at the very beginning? Like, once you start a construction project, you know right away there's asbestos. No?
They didn't test it until after they finished the projects. And before, they were scheduled to demolish the high school in February, but before they could demolish, they had to run a test to make sure that there weren't any asbestos. So when they ran it, they found asbestos, so now we had to go to the environmental company to remove it before they can demolish.
So where's this money coming from?
The
Construction,
construction,
From the bond?
construction, yes, sir.
From the bond?
Correct. Some of it is from the bond, some of it is probably money that we contributed as well, which was the original intent. And the reason it wasn't in the project is it's not part of the scope of the original contractor. This is something the district has to carry on its own.
But they know it was there, right, from the beginning? or no?
They did not. They did not.
What year is the high school?
It was put into service in 1976.
I should have given them more or less knowledge that they probably did have asbestos there.
I would know what they would guess at.
Do we have any other bids?
No, sir, we did not get any other bid. We put it out, but we didn't get any more.
Motion that we approve. The proposal submitted.
Motion by Mr. Espinosa to approve, second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor? Castillo, in favor? Opposed? One. Opposed? Item 6C, discussion action regarding Senate Bill 1882, as requested by Mr. Rivas and Mr. Young. Let's have a little bit orderly now and have everybody say their comments, and then we'll start.
I'm just curious to see whether or not available by Mr. Pringle. Secondly, I know that there's options that include a partnership, which can include a charter school or a higher education entity. So that's what I'm leading, that's why I'm asking whether or not this is something that we will be interested in pursuing or not. And especially that the deadline is tomorrow.
And my question was, we're gonna be, do we do any research, like how we gonna do the
The
research?
search is in your packet. It starts on page, 55,
But I do have a question for.
51.
I do have a question. Because I understand that partnership is not something that the board is interested in pursuing. What guarantees, should Zavala not meet standards, what guarantees do the people from Rivera have that they will be employed? What guarantees do the students from Rivera have that they will still be here in Crystal City?
The guarantee is a law.
But I'm asking, what are the guarantees that they will stay where they're at?
Okay. If Samara meets standards,
I'm saying if not.
okay, and Samara doesn't meet standards, then the decision goes to the Commissioner of Education.
Right.
The Commissioner of Education has two options: close the school or Board of Managers.
I understand.
Okay? If the Commissioner decides to close the school, then the parents of the school can sign a petition asking the Commissioner of Education to keep the school open, but to appoint a Board of Managers.
I understand.
That's a guarantee right there.
Yes.
That worst case scenario, it's the board that's going to be removed, but the campus will remain open.
But what guarantees do they have they will still stay in this position where they're in because it's.
Because if there's a Board of Managers, the district still has control of that campus.
The campus still has,
But the board of managers may not want the same staff that got them into the 6-year IR.
See, the Board of Managers is controlled by the Commissioner of Education. I don't think the Commissioner of Education would allow
is it guaranteed?
that board to fire everybody to hire everybody else.
Is
We
it
have
guaranteed?
no idea, Billy, we have no idea.
Mr. Clark, my understanding is that, for next year, Maridera will be there. Because, I mean, they're not gonna be waiting for the sports to come in August and make a decision. I mean, so, we're gonna have to have registration, we're gonna have to wait for the sports. That year will go on. And like Mr. Cuellar mentioned, during that year, then the community will have the choice of petitioning the commissioner that they bring Board of Managers. The Board of Managers will be people here from Crystal City. It's like if we had another election. We lost, they come in, and they take over for 3 years. And so, Omar Rivera will be there unless you don't want to be removed as a board member. I don't want to be removed, but I prefer step down as a board member than have the campus closed and our kids be sitting somewhere else. So,
Wait, Mr. Castillo?
I mean, I want, here, the question in here is not the process, I mean, to me, the guarantee of the teacher's employment. So what we're saying, in my case, the question would be to method the research to see if the board of managers will have that option to redo our teachers. My understanding is they'll have a contract for 2020, so they'll be employed for 2020. That's one answer we can say, keep based on state law and contracts. But your question is, will the state be able to remove everybody? I guess that's what the question is. And if we'll have that answer.
person can't remove the other options, if you are offering several options, and, I understand what Mr. Espinosa is saying, but Mr. Espinosa is not deputy commissioner.
No, and that's why I asked.
but I read on it, I mean, I'm not be, but I read this
You can
name.
read what you want, I mean,
So,
the commissioner spoke
Help me,
to us.
Ricardo, if
He
I,
told
help me.
me that he
Remember.
would be, excuse me, when we talked to the commissioner in San Antonio, he told us that Deputy Commissioner, AD,
18.
he told us, thank you, he told us that he would ultimately make the decision as to whether close the campus or to remove the board. And then he also said that he had different options, but he said that for sure by August 25th, if Salada did not meet the standards, we were receiving a letter telling us that the market would be shut down for 1 year.
And I asked him, I said, where would you take the babies? He said, I will take the babies to a school that is 1 grade higher than where they're at. So what do you need teachers if they're going to take the babies to a school that's 1 grade higher? It's very serious, and nobody even chooses to discuss any options, but just wait for the ball to get out, looking at the data that we're looking at.
I think it's been serious for the past 4 years, not just this year. It's been serious for the past 4 or 5 years.
It's been serious for a long time.
Okay? And look at where we are.
You know, one of
What would be wrong with looking at different options? That's it.
Nothing wrong. There's
No,
nothing
that's
wrong.
what you asked for last time. I want
Yeah,
to
we did, and we brought up a suggestion, however, the deadline is tomorrow.
The guarantee is, the board of managers will be, there will be a screening process from people in the community. And TA is gonna screen these people, interview them, and TA will select the board of managers. And the board of managers will be people from Crystal City. And I don't think anybody in Crystal City would want to fire teachers and bring new ones in. I don't, reservations that anybody like this guy would do that to the teachers.
Especially,
We're going to brought up the fact, and I'm not talking about you specifically, that we have really brought up the high school, we have brought up the junior high, we have brought up the aquatics. So why don't we, as this board, finish what we were set to do, bring up Zavala, keep Zavala to the open, and stay at board members, because we can do it.
Okay.
Why are we not looking at options?
Exactly.
Options like what?
Like partnering for one thing?
But look, Mr. Rodriguez is asking for assurances that these teachers
You're not
will be.
answering my question. I'm not even looking at the teachers. Why are we not looking at partnering or the other option?
Okay, this is why.
But we,
I can't speak for all of you, I can only speak for myself, okay? For me, partnering is not an option. And this is why. If you look at your packet, one of the conditions to partner says, subject to the terms of this agreement, the governing board of the new entity will serve as the governing board of the school. Not us, somebody else. And will have the sole authority to hire and manage the school leader and to set the terms and conditions of the school leader employment.
It's all about leadership, that's why we
So
can't go forward.
that means Mrs. Guerrero could lose her job.
Well,
And if you look at, I'm not done. Now look at it where it says employment status for staffing. It says the parties acknowledge and understand that the employees of the operating entity are not subject to personal policies, and that OP has the sole authority, which is the partnership, the sole authority over hiring, assignment, evaluation, development, advancement, compensation, and continuation of the employment with respect to school staff. So basically, they're telling us that they can ask everybody to reapply and hire their own.
that's
And
right.
I don't want to do that to the staff at Tomas Rivera. I'd rather we wait it out, put all our baskets with Salado Elementary, help them do it on their own. By going to another entity, what are we telling these people? That we don't have any faith?
we're talking about,
And besides that, it's
That's why
not,
they shouldn't have been paired.
if we'll start talking about the elephant in the room, it is the bottom.
But-
And Rivera has been dealt a very, very bad
Vivian,
Well, it may be.
Vivian,
I look at the data.
let me just tell you. And that's why I'm saying that we should wait it out, because, I mean, Omar Rivera has a very good staff. And so, if we're gonna have somebody that's gonna say who stays or goes, I mean, at a campus where they're doing good, I mean, they're not gonna look at Zavala and say, because it's Omar Rivera that will probably be terminated. This is why it's best that we wait it out, and we pray that Zavala gets out of it. And if not, I mean, approve the board of managers will be from Crystal City and keep all the staff from Omar Rivera. We go out and we keep on, and we keep our kids here. Based on what Mr. Cuellar said, I mean, they're gonna govern, they're gonna decide, you go, I mean.
Mr. Johnson, are you running for county commissioner?
Yes, I am.
Are you doing it right now? Are you?
Let's keep it to school business, please. Now, anybody else want?
I'm gonna share a conversation I had with Mrs. Salinas just the other day. And she asked me about whether or not I wanted this item on the agenda. And I told her straight out, is it really gonna make a difference? Because the board already seems to have made up their mind that partnership and options is not an option. And it's pretty obvious here. But she also mentioned that she doesn't feel that partnership is a good idea because nobody should be telling Mrs. Guerrero and the staff on Rivera on how to teach her kids. And I agree with that 100%. The problem I don't agree with is who put them in the situation that we're in right now. Why is it that we can look at these options and just say we're going to submit a letter to the TDA that's a non-binding letter and say this is an option we might have just in case we need it, instead of just focusing on one complete idea saying this is the way it's going to be? Because, as I mentioned to you, Mr. Correa, in my email, it seems that your idea is to have the board removed, no matter what, because that seems to be the only idea that you can come up with and say, remove the board, remove the board, remove the board. Well, I don't want to be considered the board at Austin School. I don't want to be considered the board that had to be removed because we couldn't get our act straight.
But you'd rather be considered the board that hands over a campus to somebody else instead of waiting, giving the other campus the opportunity to get us out of it. You're willing to throw these people under the bus to save your position on the board.
Keeping our kids here, yes.
Well, what about the financial implications, Robert? There's 410 kids on that campus. AJ did tell me that he would move the children to a campus that was one grade higher. What are the, 2 grades higher? Okay. What are the financial implications of losing that ADA, our building?
Losing ADA, the weighted average daily attendance would run about 2.7 million. That's on the low end. That's simply right out of attendance, average daily attendance and enrollment off the summary of finance that TA has posted. That does not include the special programs such as GT, bilingual, SCE, and not to mention the grants. They get a portion of that, so it's a significant amount. The cost of running the district and partnering with another entity with the operating partnership would be significant, something that we don't know that dollar number yet of management because it would include transportation, it would include food service. That would be a significant cost, much greater than this number that I just mentioned, the $2.7 million. No.
But the babies would need to stay home in their own building, and there would be no traveling, and the parents, the taxpayers that are paying for this fiasco could keep their kids at Tomas Rivera, correct?
I don't know what those options would be. I can only tell you what the financial would be. I don't know what the operating partner would want to do, if they want to relocate them, transport them, or I don't know that part of it. But the cost of it would be approximately that much.
Okay.
With that said, Mr. Cuellar, that's why I asked for this to be added to the agenda. That's an option which I'm asking that the board consider submitting an application, the non-binding application to TEA as an option available for CCISD.
So you want to make a motion to partner?
I motion. Not to partner, let me rephrase that. As much as I want to partner, and I don't agree with it, but right now, my best interest is the kids. And if that means I have to partner up to keep them here, then so be it, because at least I know that the kids will be here. That has been my statement for the second time. So if you mean that I want a motion to partner, then yes, sir, I motion to partner.
This motion has been by Mr. Uribe to partner with another entity and to basically give away that campus.
Again, sir, it's a motion to partner, not to add any more to it, sir, so you either.
Isn't that what partner is?
Well, the partner, I'm just saying, a motion to partner, so you don't have to add more to it, that's my
The
motion.
motion is to partner with,
We don't know because the deadline's tomorrow, and even Ms. Salinas would never address it until today.
So we're talking about the letter of intent, correct?
Right.
That's due tomorrow.
Right.
So that would not, I mean, the letter.
Exactly, but it seems that the board president here wants to add words to this, so if you want a motion that,
well, you want a letter of intent then?
well, sir, what is it that you really are asking? Because I'm telling you all along that it's to submit this letter of intent, but if it means that we're gonna partner, then you know what, the motion to partner.
Okay.
But I think you mean the letter of intent.
Well, that's what Mr. Ware
The
said.
letter of intent is not binding, okay? The letter itself is not binding. What follows, eventually we're gonna have to get into a contract, and that is binding.
Well, Zavala may do their thing and get out.
Okay,
But
let's say we sign a contract to partner with some other entity, whether it's a community college, a charter school, and we sign the contract, I believe there's a deadline, April or something, and then, let's say in June, Zavala gets out of IR, Tomas Rivera will still be under the umbrella of the charter school or the entity. They don't get out. They're stuck for 3 years at least,
Nobody.
3 to 5.
Well, that's like giving the school away.
You know what?
That's what it is. Give it to
And
them.
what I see with you guys is that you don't wanna be removed as board members.
We're gonna be removed.
Well,
Yeah.
but if we're removed, that's fine, because the school will remain open.
Well, that's good.
Well, that's what we're saying, I mean, if Zavala doesn't get out, then the parents can petition, and they will come to the board of governors. We'll all be removed, they'll select some people, other people from the city, and it's like having another election, and read it out. But Omar Rivera will remain open for 3 years.
You know,
If we partner, I mean, and Zavala does good, then, because we already have a contract with the charter school, then they will be under a charter school, and not on,
let's be
not on
honest.
the.
Let's just be honest. Why don't we just have the board removed now and have TA bring in their own people?
That's not.
You do that.
Wouldn't that be the ideal
You
solution?
do that. We're on the
And that way we can have politics away from the school, we can keep all this, I'm running for election over here, whatever it is that we're doing.
It's not politics, I
Because you
mean,
know what, you know what? Attacking Mrs. Luna, and whatever she gives a
Let's
report.
get back to the agenda, sir.
No.
Let's leave personal stuff
No, it's
out.
not personal because it's facts.
But this is not school
So
business.
why-
What does it have to do with
I
student
was already
outcome?
requesting that something be.
There's a motion on the floor to partner and to send a letter of intent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Espinosa. Tejada. Any further discussion? All in favor of partnering? All opposed?
And I want to make a comment as to why.
Go ahead.
Okay, for the record, the only reason I don't want to, vote on that letter of intent, because, I want to give Zavala a chance. Just like you did, and you did. Okay, you all have, supported them all these years in the past, and Zavala hasn't been able to get out of IR. I want to support them too. Whether it happens or it doesn't, then, everybody can hold me accountable to this. okay? Because you know, it's been like this in the past. And you all have, put your eggs in one basket and put your, support behind them, and it hasn't happened for them, okay? And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put my support behind them and see what happens with their.
For the record, I'm saying this is supporting my team, but I do understand what Mr. Rodriguez is trying to say is that I wish we could have the options on the table before, discussion before, a lot before, you know, our meeting. I wish we would have been in the agenda so we can all look at what our options to be instead of guessing. You know, in my case, I've been reading all my options and I choose to follow the teacher, but it was never discussed among us before we, you know, and to me, this is.
And if TA wants to remove me, so be it. I'm willing to give up my seat for the students, the staff, and everybody to keep our schools. Because, this is very, very good. I mean, I've been a board member 1 year, I inherited this, and I'm not gonna give up on it. I mean, if we're gonna lose it, we're gonna lose it. But, and I'll go down with it. But I'm not gonna give up on the students, staff, teachers, just like none of you did in the past. Because we're in the same situation we were years ago, and all of you have been here more than a year.
Thank you for your comment. We will continue. Motion failed. Item 7A, middle of the year data for Dr. Tomas Rivera Zavala Elementary.
Is it on the top? I think on your report.
Are they doing the one pager or the one that's in the package?
That's a summary of all the grades before going on the beginning of the year.
I'd like to, when I present, I guess I should ask first, does everyone have a chance to look at it, if there are any questions that stand out, and then I can point out things as we go. Are there any specific questions, or you just want me to kind of go through it and explain it briefly?
It seems to be a very clear and precise report. I, for one,
Quick summarization, pre-K has shown the most growth, thank goodness, because we were over 50% tier 3 at the beginning of the year. What I tried to do was try to give you where you could see both boy and boy. We're still struggling in the area of applying skills to becoming fluent readers and accurate readers. You know, I guess my go-to with kinder is we just taught them letter names and sounds. So it'll give us a little bit more time to get them to actually applying that. And in first grade, they just learned last year letters and sounds. But if I compared, because what I did is I looked at where we were at boy and boy last year and compared it to where we are this year when it comes to reading, and we have improved greatly. So if we go back to last year's boy and boy text reading comprehension, we are showing growth in it. Other than that, anybody else?
the growth that is substantial throughout the school year in all areas.
Yes and no. We did, we've only got September and January iStation. We did show a tremendous drop in February. And iStation in first grade only.
Coming back from vacation.
No, this was It's no, because the January test data would have been Christmas break. I think the first grade drop was attributed more to staff concerns.
So what about?
Staff concerns with recent events that have occurred. And we're trying to pull together, we're trying to not reflect in our instruction, but it's kindergarten tends to be a little bit more oblivious. But not the teachers, the students. They're just gonna keep doing and playing no matter what, but we're gonna pick February back up. I'm meeting with every single homeroom, I'm talking to each individual student, and telling them how important that test is, if we're gonna try to cover that. But we have, over the past 3 years, shown significant growth in all areas.
This year, it seems to be more.
Each year, we're getting a little bit better. We're not where I want to be yet. We won't be there until I have at least 70% or more to one at all grade levels. Right now, we're sitting at about 50%. So,
You just go up all 3 months.
that's it, unless you guys have questions.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to start off with just talking about our turnaround time that we presented at the last meeting. So just want to share that the staff did come together and we wrote a vision plan for our school. And I want to share that with you. All staff members were involved, and that's our new vision plan for statement. So today we're going to be reviewing the Star Renaissance data. We're going to look at the beginning of the year and we're going to look at the middle of the year. And just a reminder, the Star Renaissance test is administered every 3 weeks to students, and it is an adaptive test. That means that every time the students log on, it will adjust based on the students' previous responses. And some of the questions that are in this test, it spans like 3 grade levels. So there's a constant moving target. If we look at second grade, we're looking at the beginning of the year. And you can see that 81 students arrive at second grade meeting Tier 1 and Tier 2. And that includes the approaches, the yellow, the blue is the needs, and green, the masters. 65% of students needed 65 students needed intensive intervention. In this report, that's what it shows us. The students, we use it to show us which students are in need of intensive intervention so the teachers can develop plans for them. So at the middle of the year, we have 92 students. That's 64% of the students who are already needing masters, approaches, and needs. This test is linked to STAR. So we have 64% of students in January meeting that criteria. And we can see that we have 52 students still needing intensive remediation. So that's second grade. And third grade, okay, so now we're looking at the math screener. And so you can see that we have 60 students meeting the criteria for STAR at 41%, and then we have 86 students. This is for the beginning of the year. 86 students needed intensive intervention, and we look at the middle of the year report. So we decreased the students that need intervention to 39%,
and increase the tier 1, tier 2 to 60%, 86 students. The next report shows us the third grade star reading. Beginning of year, we had 60 students, or 41% meeting tier 1 and 2 status, and we had 87 students, or 59% meeting intensive intervention. And so if you look at the middle of the year data, we have 61 students, 42% meeting tier 1, tier 2, and we still have 85 students at in intensive, in tier 3, who need intensive intervention. And so for math, we have 56 students at tier 1, tier 2 at 38%, and 91 students at 62%. And this is the level that we've been focusing on. At middle of year, for math, third grade, we have 85 students at tier 3 at 58%, and 61 of our students are sitting at tier 1 and tier 2, 42%. So I want to show that although we may see that students are still within the tier 3 or tier 2, students are still making progress. Students are still making progress. If you can see, this is the trajectory line. For this student, for example, the teacher set a goal for this particular student. At the beginning of September, this is where it's tested, and we look at scale scores that are linked to stars. November, we had some growth, and look at January. So this teacher, for example, is going to need to set new intervention goals for this student because he's already met his goal. So although you don't see a jump to a level like a meets or a master's, there's still growth. They don't jump a level since we test like every 3 weeks. Here's another report. For a student, his goal was set down here in January, and he surpassed it. So this student will also need a new goal. Fourth grade, this is the fourth grade data. We had 62 students moving in at a tier 1, tier 2, and 77 students and needing intensive remediation at the beginning of the year. If we look at middle of the year, we decreased it to 59%, 82 students, and we have 57 at tier 1 and tier 2. This is the math beginning of year, fourth grade, 64, 46%, tier 1, tier 2, and we have 7 students in tier 3. And for middle of year, that changes to 82 students are now sitting at tier 1 and 2, and we only have 58 students needing intensive remediation at middle of year. So move on to our benchmark report. And you can see here our passing standard. This is for the third grade reading is at 53. And at the beginning, when we gave the fall benchmark, it was like a pre-test that we talked about. Passings were at 19%, and we increased to 31. That's the third grade math reading. For third grade math, third grade math, we're at 50%, and we jumped to 29 in January. And fourth grade was at 36% at the beginning of the year, now at 39%. So after, okay, this is the fourth grade math. We were at 12 at the beginning, 12% beginning of the year, now we're at 47, middle of the year. Standard here is 50. 50. The writing started off at 12% on a pre-test, and they reached 28% in January. And criteria here is 56%. This is the area that also we're focusing on. So after we look at the benchmark data, what we did is we brought teachers in, and with PLC, we looked at our RTI process, and Ms. Martinez was there, DCSI, Mr. Martinez with PSP, Mrs. Martinez reviewed the threshold jumping accountability. And so what we did at the grade level for each of the content areas, the teachers looked at all the students, and this is called the quintile report. And so what they did is they identified all the students that mastered. This is the group that you're seeing here, the purple group. They mastered the test. Then they moved on to identify the students that met, and the ones that are reaching approaches are green, highlighted green. So with this threshold jumping, we also identify students that missed the test by 5 questions or less. And if you can see here, I'm going to show you your numbers in a few minutes. I just wanted you to see that this is the reports that we pulled. Teachers also identified quintiles by each individual classroom. We did it at the grade level, and then we did it with each of the individual classes. So they know which students are in remediation. So this is what we came up with. If you will look at, for example, we'll start with 3rd grade math. So that the passing criteria is at 50%. So we had one student reaching that level in January. And I want to remind you that it was a full-blown assessment. We still have 3 or 4 units to go to teach. So all the standards that were on the test have not been taught yet. We had 2 students meeting standard. We highlight those in blue. And then at the approaching level, we had 32 students. So what we did is we added all these students that met, and we're sitting at 43, which gave us a 29%. And we did the threshold jumping. We looked at all the students that missed it by 5, and we identified 46 students that missed it by 5 or less questions. So those are the students that we want to capture by May. And if we do, that's going to be our goal, we'll be at a 61%. So we took it further to identify all the students that missed it by 7. So we identified 25 students in 3rd grade that missed it by 7. So if we add these numbers right here, the 89 and these 25 students, we come up with 114 students that are projected to pass this test. So that puts us at 78% students mastering at 50 or to master. We did the same thing, 3rd grade reading, same process. We have 7 students sitting at the masters, and then 7 at the blue reading standard approaches. We have 32. So that gives us a total of 46 students. So we're sitting right now in January at 31%, but when we look at students that missed it by 5, we identified 35 students. So if we capture those students, then by May, we'll be at 55, we'll be at 55. But our goal, of course, is to capture even the ones that missed it by 7. There's 22 students. So our goal for May is to be at 70%. Same process here. For 4th grade math, we follow the same process. Our goal is to hit 80% by May. In 4th grade reading, 74. And for writing, it's 72. So the numbers here, you see down here, these are students that need intensive intervention. These students probably scored anywhere between 3% to 20 to 18%. So it's going to be difficult to get these students to master at 50%. But these are the students that we will identify for tutorials and will continue to support in probably summer school. So teachers already know who the students are. The next step was to develop a plan of action. And this is the template that we use. So we identified, again, teachers identified all their students by the level that they reached on the benchmark. And then we pulled reports from DMAC. They identified all the SCs that were lower heavily tested. And they were expected to write the activities and all the expectations for those students, the start date and completion date. You see the yellows and the pink, those are the kids that missed by 5 and 7. And then they assigned all the students to either a response to intervention tutorial after school, and we're offering Saturday tutoring. Last Saturday was the first time we offered Saturday. We had a total of about 51 students. So now we have to go back and see who those kids are that missed by 5 and 7 so that we can bring them up and to include them in our tutorials. The plan of action, again, so just to review, so we reviewed the benchmark data, the PLCs, our DCSI changes and the threshold jumping. We met with teachers, with administrators, or PSP. We developed a plan of action, and each teacher identified an individual plan for each of the students, and identified when the students were going to be serviced, either RTI, after school on Saturdays. And our goals are going to be to move the students that are sitting at the approaches level, we want those to move up to the meets. And same process, the meet students need to move up to masters, and then we're going to capture the students that are sitting by 5 and 7. And we have to get those students to the meet approaches. Some of the activities that we have been initiated, we extended the RTI time, and so we cut recess from our schedule, and they gave teachers about 40 minutes to work with students in RTI. We reviewed the students by tiers, by RTI, and then we assigned which teacher was going to be working with them. Fourth grade, for example, we have a large group of students who are still decoding in fourth grade, so we assigned one of the teachers to work with those students on those specific skills, so they produce flexible scheduling through RTI. We're working with parents. We've been open 2 Saturdays. Parents have come in and we've shared assessment data with them, found really the benchmark and explained the expectations. Another activity we've completed is we have assigned a co-teacher to work with new teachers on campus, especially the 3rd grade group, for reading, for math. We have so it's a peer teacher who will be going in 3 days out of the week to work in model lessons for the teachers. The instructional coaches have been modeling lessons as well. They've been assisting. Clarissa Escamilla, coach at Rivera, has been assisting Ms. Guaya on running the record, so that we have another intervention piece we want to add, Ponce and Canal. And of course, we need to, right now, our focus is to strengthen our guided practice and differentiate, so that students will be taught and will be serviced through individualized plans. So we're going to continue the trainings with the Acosta at the Region 20. Our instructional coaches will continue to support our teachers. Our focus right now is to get students to speak in complete sentences as well. We need to have books in the hands of every child. The community needs to have an advocate for a literacy program. Students need to be reading this STAR Renaissance report we reviewed earlier, assess students on comprehension at the evaluated level. When we reviewed our STAR, our DMAT data on the benchmark, all the essays that were lower than 30% had to do with comprehension. So that is a huge weakness in I think, even across our district. We have historical data on that. Some of the resources we'll be using, of course, our teachers and staff, some of the STAR practice materials. The teachers are already beginning the blitz, instructional coaches, Superintendent Salinas has been at our campus and has been very supportive. Ms. Acosta at Region 20 will continue to be here. Expectations for teachers is to increase their STAR performance, to move their students to a higher tier, and the differentiation has to happen. Guided reading is beginning. They're using authentic literature to teach students and to address all the skills as opposed to a book for isolating skills. And also we'll continue with the professional learning communities, and teachers are going to conduct checkpoints once they intervene during either a tutorial or I think we have a sample of the one that we'll be using. Once they intervene through tutorials, through RTI, through Saturday, they will be conducting checkpoints like every 2 to 3 weeks to ensure that those interventions are working, and if they're not, then so that we can adjust in a timely manner. I think got samples of that report. Okay, and then we just have, we think to be copies, but teachers completed all those reports, the action plans. There was a big urgency after the benchmark. They already identified every student, they color-coded, they checked their essays. It was a very intense practice. I can tell you that they are exhausted, but their focus is relentless. They are very determined, and everybody is doing the very best. They are coming in on weekends, they're staying beyond what is required, is going above and beyond to make sure that the work is done.
On this last benchmark that you did, were the questions solely on content that has already been covered?
No, they had about, for example, reading about 40 units that have been covered in that.
So had it been focused just on what has been covered, and we would have had
Yes.
much.
And initially, that's what I had, I had presented, I said, let's just look at the data. But in order to build these plans, the teachers wanted a full-blown, and they said, it is what it is, we need to see the full, blown assessment, that way we know how to intervene and how to do it, and how, how to help students. But yes, the scores were higher, and we removed all those standards that were not allowed.
How much higher than you need to?
Somewhere at 40,
Meaning spender.
40,
40.
40%, 35. So.
So now you really know which contents to focus on for the
Yes.
remainder of the
Yes.
time that you have it to be tested.
And then Martinez also helped us make some projections on zoning one, through that projection. And so if we capture the students that listed by 5 and listed by 7, and all your students maintain, we can reach the target.
On these students that are so close and yet not there yet, you were a former counselor, and I have always advocated that many of our students do not pass the test because they have testing sites. Do you see any of that in the students that you go and observe?
The testing site,
Yes, ma'am.
that they, anxiety. Oh, definitely.
And
Students
is
are
there
crying,
anything being done
some of
about
them,
this?
there's the stresses.
I tell you, because when I used to teach ED, I had 2 students who would score in their 600s for the pre-test for math. You needed a 410 to pass the test, and when they took the actual test, they would only score their 90. And you could tell that it wasn't because they didn't know the content of this testing site.
We had a little girl that refused to go and, she just had a fit, and so we talked to her, and, she was nervous about the test, she didn't want to test. And then some of the students that need, for example, oral accommodations that we need to pull out, but they're very uncomfortable with being allowed. And then the motivation level, even for these assessments that we provide, every 3 weeks, the STAR, the iStation, it's just a one shot, they sit in front of the computer and they click.
It's like I hear the word test, and all of a sudden it just, right?
You have to motivate them, and there's a lot of factors involved, it's just,
Yeah.
you have to just be careful when you're helping them date this one.
I'm sure they feel your sense of urgency
Yes.
to the teachers.
Oh, yes.
You had a benchmark discussion on February 3rd, the parents on Saturday. How was your turnout?
We had a combination of the 2 Saturdays, we had about 41 parents.
Let's go, what, 2020?
And again, we see like the parents that we really need to see are the ones that we need to reach out to. We need to conduct some outreach. We've already been talking about additional ideas, like we already identified the students, for example, the group, the yellow group that listed by 5. We've been talking about just bringing those parents and calling them meeting, bringing them in, and so, explaining expectations, which will offer help.
So 20 on each Saturday.
Really better participation. I know that we discussed about volunteers. Is this the only way that volunteers are?
Yes, we have had about 2 3 last Saturday, and so we're bringing them in during the day, so that teachers, the way our schedule is structured, not every teacher has support during the RTI block, and that's when they get to pull in small groups. So if you have a class, it's difficult to individualize the group, so we're going to try to bring in volunteers during those times.
So how many tutoring notices do you think were sent out, like for a Saturday tutoring?
We sent out, I think we did the first round before we started, the week before, and then teachers have been identifying the students that are not showing up, and so we're resending them, and we're going to do calling, and we're going to cross-reference our list to see which of the students that need to come.
Okay, and how many teachers are tutoring on Saturday?
All of them.
Great.
All of them. We said all, we have this all hands on deck, we said all. And we're going to be flexible, we're going to chat, sometimes we're not going to be available every Saturday, so we're already making a minute and saying, I have a wedding this Saturday, so, they're going to be helping each other. The superintendent was there, we had paraprofessionals, teachers, they're all on board. The culture, climate of that building that I saw 3 years ago is non-existent. They're all working very, very hard.
I have a couple of questions, but I'm not gonna ask them because I want to show you this.
Thank you, ladies. I'm sure you're doing your best. Everybody, your campus is very focused. Keep up the good work. And gentlemen,
It happens all the time.
item 7C, nothing to be updated. Page 127 in your
From the slide,
Learn what?
28.
Good evening, board members and superintendent and community. I want to tell you that I'm very proud of the work that was presented today because it has been really intense at Sagala. I'm going to tell you that what they showed about the teachers looking at the data, knowing their students, we sat down the whole day and the graph that they showed you. And our goal is to capture those students and make it in all domains. So speaking of domains, Mr. Martinez gave you a presentation early in the year where the state was still very uncertain of what this accountability system is asking us to do. Today I'm here to tell you that just today I had a webinar at the BCSI with TA. They're still working on a lot of specifics. Mr. Espinosa, the last time you asked me, are we going to make it? I can tell you today they were closer to stage than we are, but as I go through the presentation, you'll find out.
By what? They haven't indicated by when?
April, and you'll see as I go. So here we go. The first thing you need to know, board members, is that A, B, C, D, or F will be awarded to the district only on August 15, 2018. Our campuses will receive MET standard or improvement required. The district will be the only ones receiving an A, B, C, D, or F. Okay? And then by the August of 2019, that's when our campuses will receive an A, B, C, D, or F. So that has, and I want to tell you that Ms. Salinas allowed me to go to the latest accountability training, which was a week ago, February 7th. So this is what's going on as of today. The next thing you're going to see, we talked about accountability labels. Years ago, it was exemplary, recognized, acceptable, need of improvement, or unacceptable. Well, that is correlated to the A through F now. To get an A, we have to be exemplary. To get a B, we have to get recognized. To get a C, we have to be acceptable. To get a D, we will be in need of improvement, and F will be the unacceptable, which is now the improvement required. So that's the correlation between the labels of how we used to have to be, and now we're in the A through F. Okay, continue. If you look at this was shared with us because in 2011, only 5% of the districts of the campuses in the state were exemplary. So to get an A is extremely a low percent. 5% of the campuses. To get recognized in 2011, we only had 35% of those campuses. That was a B. 53% of the campuses would be a C. And then, of course, academically unacceptable were 7%, that would be an F. What the state is saying today, board members, is that if anyone gets a D, that means we're still passing. You don't want to be at a D, but you certainly don't want to be an F. Okay? Questions on that? All right, the next thing. We presented this to you early in the year when we started learning about the new system of accountability. This is what is set in stone. The commissioner and the federal government, the state of Texas and federal government have agreed that this is how we're going to calculate student achievement. No longer, for example, in high school mathematics, algebra 1, at the benchmark, there were 83. Years past, that would have been awesome because we were just looking at the 83. From now on, they have to look at the 83 of the kids that got approaches, you have to look at the kids that got meets, and you have to look at the kids that got masters. And you take the percentage of that and divide it by 3, and that is how we get student achievement. In order for us to get an A for the accountability, for 17, 18 at the district level, it would have to be a 60 or greater. The top right now, board members, is that if 60 is an A, then probable 50 will be a B. 40 will be a C. 30 will be a D. Anything lower than 30 would be an F. Those specifics have not been clear, like I explained earlier. They will have more specifics as we go on. As a matter of fact, we have Sherry Hendrick, who worked with Region 20, who is our district case manager, and she's part of the committee that makes these decisions. So as soon as she finds out, she sends me an email, she says, Lima, let your campus, let your district know this is what's going on. The next meeting is next week for her. She'll let me know right after that. This is how they're going to calculate domain 1. Okay? All right, next thing. The only difference here that you're going to see that you didn't see it in October when we presented, the federal government finally agreed with the state to include the CCMR, the college readiness, career readiness, and military readiness, but they're going to delete the complete on-ramp courses, and they're going to delete the meet standards because they wanted us to be at meets when the state is saying that it's okay for us to be at approaches. So they did away with that one for the 2018 accountability. They also deleted the Be Admitted to Post-Secondary Industry Certification Program. All right, so here's how they're going to calculate this. The denominator is the annual graduate, all students. Any student who accomplishes any one of these CCMR, it will be in the numerator. All CCMR indicators lag by 1 year, so we would look at the data from 2016-2017. And this only applies to high school. The next thing. All right, so here's the calculating score. When we brought you this information, we didn't have the high school, but we know that elementary, Zavala Elementary, Benito Juarez, junior high school will be 100% of the STAR assessment. Whatever the students get in approaches, meets, and masters, that will be domain 1, student achievement. For high school, we will have 40% of the EOCs, 40% of the CCMR, and 20% of the graduation rate. And I want to tell you that those percentages is what, as the district, we agreed upon and submitted them to the commissioner, and our Region 20 agreed with us. So I'm glad to see that we recommended these percentages.
And those are set.
Yes, ma'am, these are set. And again, it's coming so late because the federal government is barely agreeing with the state government. All right, that's student achievement, domain 1. Domain 2, we're going to have 2 aspects. Part A is student growth, and Part B is relative performance. On this next slide, here's what this means, board members. Our students have to know that if we get approaches, we only get half a point. If we get meets or masters, it's a whole point. So that's the difference between what we've been accustomed to. The greater we do, the more value we get. Approaches will only get half a point, meets and masters get a whole point. Continue. All right, the next piece is the relative performance. What this means, board members, is that at the end of all the tests, the state is going to do what we call in mathematics a scatter plot. That means they're going to put all the schools, and then they're going to draw a line of best fit. This is fun, remember that time. So they draw linear regression, and because Crystal City has a high number of economic disadvantages, we have an opportunity to do as well as Northside, who has a very low percentage of economic disadvantage. So if we're going to be, wherever that line of best fit falls in, is where we're going to be in this relative performance. So because we have a greater economic disadvantage population, we have a chance that our district will be higher up than those districts that don't have high economic disadvantage. That is relative performance. That is all the state of Texas, all students, all Texas. That is domain 2, board members. No problem. Again, notice the date on this is closing the gap, domain 3. Very federal government agreeing with the state government. How do you close the gap? The next one, sir. These are all the groups that will be counted. Again, the federal government wanted writing, social studies, and science, but they finally agreed it would only be reading and math. Again, they deleted that we have to be at above needs. They finally agreed that it's okay for us to be at approaches as the state is recommending. So the state and the federal government are finally agreed. Now, the cutoff points for domain 1 is, of course, domain 1 or domain 2 will be 70%, and then domain 3 will be 30%. That's the lowest we're going to go with. Domain 3, that is set in stone. So we either meet domain 1 or 2, but we must meet 3. And these are the soft views that are in domain 3, closing the gap. That is the newest, and again today I had a webinar with the TA. They still did not have the 40-40-20, so we're into the game. We IMPs on top of what's going on with the country, and then bring it to the district so that we can all know and have to prepare. The teachers know which kids are approaching, the students are weak, which are masters, and they cannot regress. We gotta keep moving them up. That is the latest on accountability.
And it's still might change.
Today that is what it is. Next week, they have another meeting, and I'll bring it up.
Items 8, informational, is just that informational, unless you have questions.